The American Rescue Plan, the first stimulus, COVID stimulus of 2021.
It's Brian Preston, the money guy.
That's right, Brian. So we've just come through this period now. There's been another stimulus bill passed, and a lot of folks are asking the question, what is it? What's in it? And more importantly, how does that affect me? So that's what we're going to hope to sort of lay out for you so that you can be well prepared as you go into this stimulus.
Now look, if you haven't filed your taxes, I need you to stop. And I need you to watch this video, look me in the eyes, because some of you are going to need to speed it up. Some of you are going to need to slow it down. And then some of you are just going to need to stand right where you are with the taxes because, guys, this could literally cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars if you don't pay attention.
Yeah, so essentially the headlines right now have been talking about this big thing that there is this new stimulus and there's going to be a $1,400 check that goes out. So the first question on most people's minds is, will I get the $1,400 stimulus check? Is that something that me and my family will be entitled to? And here are the things you need to know. There are income phase outs as it's related to the stimulus. If you're a single individual, the phase out is between $75,000 and $80,000. And for married filing jointly individuals, the phase out is from $150,000 to $160,000. Now, those income limits are based off your 2020 federal return if you have already filed. If you've not filed, then it's going to be based off of your 2019. And if you have filed in 2020, but you think that you may be eligible in 2021, there is going to be a catch-all. So it's going to make those folks whole who did not get it. However, it's not going to claw back from folks who did get it and should not have received it because the payments are treated as tax credits, which means they'll be completely tax-free and they're not going to claw it back. So if you were a high-income person that got it, but you got it because of when you filed your tax return, they're not going to make you give the money back. They're not going to come after you and get it. And this is what's really interesting. If you have direct deposit set up via your tax return, your checks could start arriving as early as March the 17th, just a few days away.
So here's the big thing that I think a lot of people are going to be shocked to find out. And all the other previous stimulus bills, the one with the $600, then we went to $1,200, this one's $1,400. All of the other previous stimulus had lower benefits for children.
Sure.
And it was specifically children. Like you had to have the child tax credit to qualify. So it even excluded older children. This is crazy town what happened here because we lifted off instead of children. Now the new determining factor is dependence on your tax return. So if you meet these income thresholds, it's however many dependents. It doesn't matter age. These could be kids beyond college as long as if you're still providing all of their over half of their expenses. It could be an elderly parent or somebody that you're claiming as a dependent. All of them will be eligible for the $1,400 as long as you meet the income requirements.
So you can imagine for a large family, a family of 3, 4, 5, 6 folks, this can be substantial. This could be a lot of stimulus money that's going to be flowing your direction. But you need to make sure that you understand which tax return that they're using because it can have big implications, especially if you're someone who has variable income, whether it was high or low in 19, high or low in 20, and whether it'll be high or low in 2021.
So homework, go right now, and I want you to go pull up what was my 2019 adjusted gross income, what was my 2020, or if you haven't filed, what's my estimated 2020 adjusted gross income, and then what do I think is going to happen in 2021 compared to these numbers, and then use that to know whether you need to quickly speed up, meaning that if your income is lower in 2020, hurry up and file your taxes if they dropped a lot from 2019. However, if you made money, good money in 2020 that exceeded these income phase outs, maybe you need to slow it down and not file any tax return until after September 1st. File an extension, wait until after September 1st so you get some of this money directly deposited to you from your 2019 return. And then if you, by all chance, you don't qualify in 2019, you don't qualify in 2020 because your income's too high, but all of a sudden you get crushed in 2021 and your income's down, that will catch you up. You will be able to make everything up because this will still be a 2021 credit, but they're going to let you use 2019 or 2020 depending upon when you filed your taxes.
So not only did they have a change where now dependents on your tax return also receive the same level of stimulus, they did specifically make some adjustments to how children are treated, how children are handled from a tax perspective.
Guys, this is big time. The child tax credit's always been a big deal because in the past, it went from $1,000 $1,000 to $2,000. Now look at this, guys. They've lifted the top off of this only for 2021. Now I need to make sure everybody knows this is somewhat temporary right now. If you have children under 6, so 0 to 5, you're going to get $3,600 per child.
That was previously $2,000. So this is a $1,600 additional tax credit for those who qualify.
If you have kids, now it used to be under 16. They actually lifted it up to under 18. So we're talking about children from 6 to 17 years of age is now going to have a child tax credit of $3,000.
But there are phase outs as it relates to this. The phase out for single individuals starts at $75,000, and the phase out for married filing joint individuals is a little bit lower than previously. It starts at $150,000.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest part of this legislation. You saw it with the stimulus checks, as well as we're seeing it now with the child tax credits. 150 is kind of the new line in the sand of what, like, I guess wealth is or rich is to the administration and the legislatures, whereas under the previous relief bills, it really went up to $200,000 for married couples, $100,000 for single. So pay attention to that. Once you cross 150, you need to make sure you're not in that phase out zone. Here's something else that I think is interesting on this, and this once again ties into whether you need to slow down, speed up, or sit back and wait on filing your taxes, is that the government has said, you know what, these child tax credits, we're going to take what we're planning to do is starting from July 1st through December 31st, we're going to start issuing monthly payments to taxpayers for these child tax credits for half of these credits. That's what they're planning to do.
What I think is remarkable is it is indeed a 2021 credit. It's something that will show up on your 2021 tax return, but they are going to start paying it out early. I'm trying to think, has there ever been something like this where you got next year's tax credit early paid out? And I can't remember one where it happened like this. So this is a big deal. There are folks who are going to be out there that are actually going to get monthly deposits in their checking account or monthly checks to pay for this credit that will be reportable on your 2021 tax return.
I've already done the math for you. For children 0 to 5 years of age, it's about $300 a month. For children 6 to 17, it's going to be $250 a month. I do want to give you one word of caution. If you are one of these people that your income in 2021 is not going to qualify, there's a partial clawback to this. And those income phase outs for that partial clawback, for single individuals, it's between $40,000 to $80,000. For married couples, it's $60,000 to $120,000.
So before you start, if you are near the top of those phase outs or even near the bottom of those phase outs and you start getting these checks, don't go spend that money. Make sure that you're just kind of holding off so you know exactly what you will have to pay back when you file your 2021 tax return.
The next thing I want to talk about that's a big pickup is child and dependent care tax credit. Now, I don't want to get this confused because, Bo, I think when we were doing pre-planning,
we kept going back
everybody
and forth.
talks about child tax credits. That's what you get just off of the kids for being in your house, being there. Dependent care tax credit. This is for if you have your children in daycare. This is if you have them in some after-school programs and you're a working person or you're a full-time student. This has always used to be one of my favorite tax credits to sneak in on people who, when I was preparing their taxes, they would not know about this tax credit. And truthfully, in the past, wasn't that big of a deal because the income phase outs kicked in so early. I mean, this was a 35% of $3,000 of expenses on one child, up to $6,000 for two children. But like I said, the income phase out kicked in, started at $15,000. Once you got over about $40,000 of income, you were only getting like a 20% of the expenses tax credit.
That's right.
So it wasn't a ton of money. Guys, they have completely
They've blown the doors off of it.
Revamp this, and let me talk to you what I mean by that is instead of it being $3,000 of expenses, now it's $8,000 of expenses for one child. If you have two or more children, that has now jumped up to $16,000 of expenses. And look at this. It starts, the percentage change from a 35% credit calculation to 50%, and the phase out is completely different. And it's now $125,000 is where the the reduction in the percentage calculator starts reducing. Guys, this credit, if you make under $125,000 for one child, is now going to be $4,000. For 2 or more children, it's going to be $8,000. That is like quadruple what it used to be.
Yeah, so what you can imagine is for dual working households that do have kids that are providing care so that they can go to work, this is substantial. This will be significant when you file your 2021 tax return. So you want to make sure you are saving the receipts. If you do have your kids, make sure you mark those expenses, make a note in your calendar that when it's time to do your taxes, you give that to your accountant or you remember to put that in the tax filing software because it's going to have a huge impact.
I want to close out with a few other provisions that were in the legislation that is now law. I don't know. I don't call it legislation. It's actually a law. The president signed it just yesterday. So the first thing, unemployment. Unemployment now is people, I don't know if you realize this, when you receive unemployment benefits, usually they're taxed. You've put this on your tax return. You pay taxes. They have written in if you received up to $10,200 in 2020, those benefits will now be tax-free as long as you made under $150,000.
So they're going to give you a little bit of tax reprieve. If you were one of those folks who were laid off, had to claim unemployment, got that money, you're going to get a little bit of a tax reprieve.
Everybody was talking about student loan forgiveness, and I think a lot of people thought that two things that didn't make it into the legislation. A lot of people thought that minimum wage was going to go to $15, and then a lot of people with student loan thought that there was going to be $10,000. There was maybe even more of loan forgiveness. They actually punted on both of those issues in a lot of ways, but they've laid the groundwork or set the table on student loans because look at this. They did put some legislation or some items or nod towards student loans and the fact that now there's no income you have to recognize if loans are forgiven from right now in 2021 all the way through 2025.
So they left the door open. If they decide they do want to initiate some sort of loan forgiveness, it won't be considered income to you. They're going to make that tax-free, which is a big deal. We don't know how that will play out, but it certainly makes it seem like they're going to do something there.
And then the last thing is if you're a person that's on COBRA insurance or you have recently been separated from your employer and you're trying to figure out if you're going to take COBRA insurance, this is going to be big for you because right now, people who are on COBRA or considering COBRA, the federal government's actually going to be paying premiums from April through September. And guys, that will be administered by your former employer. They're actually going to pay for the premiums on your behalf, and then the federal government's going to give them some credits and tax reductions on their payroll tax returns.
I think for a number of American households, this is going to be a big deal. This is going to be substantial, and you're going to find yourself in a situation where you have additional discretionary cash flow coming your way that you had not planned for previously. One of the things that we would encourage you to do is if you're curious about what I should do with that money or how I should handle that money or how I should approach this, I would encourage you, go out to our website, moneyguy.com/resources, and we have a free deliverable for you called the Money Guy Financial Order of Operations that will actually walk you through, have you done step 1? Have you done step 2? Have you done step 3? If you are behind or if the FOO is a brand new concept to you and all of a sudden this money shows up in your checking account, go check out that deliverable so you can make sure that you actually use this as a mechanism to help you get your financial house back in order.
I've shared with you guys that there have been times in my life when I was first starting out that $1,000 would have changed my life. Guys, there's quite a few of you that are going to be getting payments and checks that are going to be over $5,000 if you have children in the household. You know, use it wisely. This is an opportunity to really use this as that jumping point to take you to the next level of your financial life. Be thoughtful with that because that's what I worry about with the general public. How will they use this? Because the 3 components of wealth creation is obviously discipline. You have to save some of this money. You have to live on less than you make and then turn that discipline into money that gets invested. You do that long enough and have enough time. That's the 3rd component of wealth creation. You will be wealthy. This could be the point that turns it around for you. So thank you so much. We wanted to put this out there so you can make it happen ASAP. I'm your host, Brian Preston, Mr. Bo Hansen. Check us out, moneyguy.com, and thank you so much.